All right, welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Today is Sunday, August 29th, 2021. Do a special report today. We are tracking Hurricane Ida, who just made landfall about 20 to 30 minutes ago. We are picking up coverage now, but first let's go ahead and do a little space weather update quickly. I want to announce first that the possibility for the Earth-directed X-class flare has now expired. Again, yesterday, Dr. Tony Phillips issued a warning that there was a possibility of a chance of an X-class flare Earth-facing. That threat has seemed to be diminished, and the alert has been lifted. So good news there. We dodged a bullet on that note. Let's get right into our space weather update. Our solar wind speeds are coming in at 284.6 kilometers per second with a density of 7.6. And the big question is, how will this affect Hurricane Ida? Right now, the KP indice is at 1 and the 24-hour max is at a 2. Dealing with 4 sunspots with a total sunspot number of 77. And it is safe to report that AR 2860 is still crackling with C-class flares. So even though we are not in the running for the X-class thrown at Earth, it's still shooting off some CMEs still. We are actually expecting a minor storm from the CMEs that have been hurled our way. It could be later today or early tomorrow. So today, the 30th, they're expecting an increase in solar wind speeds in the 550 range, possibly 600 range. And it could see a G1 storm at least. Now, we are on watch for that right now until tomorrow afternoon. So space weather has been kind of active, and yes, I think it's going to have some effect if it hasn't already had an effect on Hurricane Ida. And let's get right over to Hurricane Ida. All right, sorry about that. Guess you have to have a microphone to switch scenes, right? So anyway, we are looking at Hurricane Ida, tracking her now. She has made landfall, and we are looking currently at the maximum sustained winds at 150 miles per hour, with maximum gust winds at 184. Position of the storm, well, it's just moving northwest at 15 miles per hour. And the pressure is at a 933. Folks, they thought that this possibly could have been a Category 5. They felt like that this storm was going to continue to intensify as it heads towards landfall. And I was watching something interesting earlier and talking about how this landfall still could be heading over more what they call brown water, which is the marshes, the swamps, and therefore not being actual land. So this is part of the reason why this storm is kind of keeping its intensity right now, is because the front part of Louisiana, a lot of it is low sea level, and we have a lot of swamp, marshy areas. So that's what's helping keeping this storm a pretty strong Category 4, I might add. And again, I thought it's on the Weather Channel, or I like to call them the Comedy Central channel. Their one meteorologist kept saying that this was technically a 4.75 category hurricane. And to me, let's report it for what it is, right? It's a Cat 4. It's a strong Cat 4. But anything to try to make it bigger than what it is, or maybe put a little fear into people, I don't know. Anyway, Cat 4 is what it is. Weather Channel calls it a Cat 4.75. Again, we thought this was possibly going to be a Category 5, and it stayed at 4. Thankfully, again, this is a pretty large system. This is our first major hurricane landfall, and we are expecting power outages. And let's go ahead and shift over to that. You guessed it. Had to add a microphone again. All right. So here we are looking at power outages right now, and we are talking 150,000 without power, and you could see right there where, and I'll move this ticker down a little bit. Actually, maybe I'll move it up here. We know it's Louisiana. So we can see right now the majority of the power outages are in the southern areas here in Louisiana. Let's see if we can get an arrow tracking this. And of course, we expected that. So here's where we're seeing the majority of our power outages so far. And this is on the eastern side of the storm, which is usually the stronger part of these hurricanes. This is expected to go up a little bit more as well as the evening or the afternoon continues. This storm has only been landfall for about 45 minutes now, tops. But we have seen the effects coming in from earlier today. And here we have two cameras. The one at the bottom, I'm going to actually turn on the sound for you so we can kind of check out what's going on here. Just to give you an idea, this is a city street in New Orleans. Check out how loud this is. Kind of sounds like the solar storm that we had. Listen to this. So the wind's really picking up now in New Orleans. Wow. So you can already get an idea, in a sense, of what is beginning to happen here in New Orleans. And already I can see in this video, the power lines are starting to come out of this pole. Yeah, in another part of this picture here, it's cropped out, but we're starting to see loose power lines, power poles. I mean, you guys can see that. Here, let's do this. Look at that. You guys see my blue arrow? We got power lines, obviously. These poles, who knows how long they'll stay up with this kind of wind. You can see how fast the clouds are moving, folks. Look at that. I got my blue arrow in here. You can see how fast these clouds are moving by. Now this storm is booking it, folks. 15 miles per hour over landfall. This is probably the best case scenario for these folks down here. Oh boy. And you can see the winds are really starting to get picked up over here. Wow. Watch out. So I don't know how long this camera is actually going to be up, folks. And I'm just going to keep it on this shot right here because there's no way this camera stays up very much longer. The power lines are just like rubber bands right now, and you can hear the wind. Wow. The rain's definitely picking up, and again, you can see how fast these clouds are moving. Wow. Yeah, I don't know how much longer this camera is going to be up, folks, to be honest with you. You know, things are starting to get pretty darn hairy. And wow, just like that, you get a little bit of calm. And if you notice right there, you see there is a light that is on, and that's a good sign. Folks still have power. Like I said, obviously this camera is still up and running, so how much longer that's going to last is unknown at this point. But folks, we are definitely seeing the beginning of what could be a long night here for the folks in New Orleans. By any means am I suggesting that this is going to be downplayed. You know, I heard earlier today that Katrina was not as windy as this, and so there's going to be more wind damage out of this storm than we're going to see that we saw from Katrina. But the good news that we're not going to see the storm surge that we saw with Katrina. We're only going to get at best half of what Katrina saw. Katrina's storm surge, remember, was 28 feet in some spots. And the worst case scenario for the storm surge for Ida, Hurricane Ida, is going to be 10 to 15 feet. And that's a direct head-on collision with southern part of Louisiana. So again, this is not a Hurricane Katrina type storm, but in a way, this storm is going to be a little bit stronger and possibly a little bit, unfortunately, a little bit more destructive as well. With winds at 150 miles per hour, you know, to me, how long are these telephone poles and wires going to be on this, on these poles? How long are we going to see these trees before they start coming down as well? These are strong winds. Like I said, we've seen a lot of rain. We've seen a lot of rain in the southern part of the United States this summer. So the ground is already saturated from many storms we've already had through this area. And these high winds really is going to test the infrastructure of basically everything in these cities here in the southern parts of New Orleans. So unfortunately, we're expecting widespread power outages, widespread wind damage, widespread flooding. This is a type of loss of life event if you're not careful, and we're starting to see some buffering on this particular live feed here. So again, I don't expect to see this very much longer, and that's the only reason why I'm keeping this on. So bear with me, folks. I'm not trying to be annoying here. Let's see if I can get an update on the current stats. Has anything changed yet on Hurricane Ida? No. So we're still maintaining the 150 mile an hour maximum sustained winds. Maximum gust winds are at 184 miles per hour with a pressure of 933 millibars. Also, this storm is now currently has made landfall and is moving northwest right now at 15 miles per hour. And as you can see, this storm is not even in New Orleans, the eye anyway, and we already see the effects of what is going on in New Orleans before the storm gets to that part of the state. So if I had to guess, we're already seeing 60 to 70, maybe even 80 mile an hour gusts, maybe, at this point, and conditions are going to continue to deteriorate. Now, in the upper left-hand corner is the French Quarter. Nobody should be out there at this time, and I do see a couple of people. There's a fire truck that looks like rolling through, trying to tell people, get your asses inside, because this is not the place to be right now. Flooding is imminent. It is going to happen. There is no dodging the bullet on this one. Again, I want to move away from this here soon, but I'm afraid if I do that we won't have this shot anymore. And to me, this is showing the best footage that I've seen so far on live feeds as far as the kind of what kind of impacts that we're actually experiencing right now. I want to quickly say hello to a lot of our loyal subscribers and a lot of new faces out there as well. Hello out there to James, North South. Arnold Schmidt, good to see you out here as well. Randy Thomas, Jerome from New York, how you doing? Pete, Scrappy Cat, good to have you over here. friends over there at KLW. And then, hello, of course, I saw Matt Bros in here. Good to see you, my friend, as always. And guys, thank you again for tuning into the Grand Solar Minimum channel for your latest on Hurricane Ida. All right, so let's go ahead and go back and check out and see if we've had any updates on power outages. And right now, it appears that power outages is still staying about the same. Take another look at our live radar. There is Ida. And Ida is already making impacts felt across the southern part of Louisiana. And she has barely made landfall. I mean, just barely made landfall. But where New Orleans is, this is going to be the strongest winds right here, folks. The northeastern side of this storm. And they're going to be right smack dab in it. Now, right now, it looks like we could be seeing some deterioration on that northeastern side. But as you know, these cyclones almost like breathe, inhale, exhale, and they intensify and detensify. It would make sense that this is starting to finally go on the decline as it is now making landfall, as these storms don't really hold it together that long over land. So the worst of the category 4 is definitely going to be felt up here. That's definitely going to be the worst of it. And we're just going to have to wait and see. Right now, still searching for pictures and updates on that as we speak. Let's see if I can find something real quick for you guys. I did find something here, what not to do. Do not do this, folks. This man is taking a selfie here at Lake Pontchartrain. Not a good idea at all. Be smart out there, folks. If you're in the area of this storm, I understand that it's fascinating. These storms are amazing, true Mother Nature at work, but let's be smart about this as well, folks. But anyway, I thought I'd show you that. I thought that was kind of crazy. All right, so basically where we are, Hurricane Ida has made landfall. She's still at a Cat 4. Maximum sustained winds at 150 miles per hour with maximum gusts at 184 miles per hour. Central pressure of 933 millibars. And I will keep scouring the internet for information because we are getting lots of reports already of some pretty serious flooding. We are expecting anywhere from 15 to 20 inches of rain in this general area right in here, and some local spots through here could see that as well. But for the consensus, we're looking at 10 inches of rain. I'm going to go ahead and turn this down because if you guys were sitting here right now, you would understand. right, so let's turn that down a little bit. Okay, doke, that's better. So I got requests for the live cam. That I can do. That's what we're here for, to report. Here's a look at that weather cam that we were watching. This one may not be up very much longer. Turn the wind up just a little bit more. Yeah, I don't know, Jerome. To see somebody, you know, risk themselves like that with the ocean currents, that's the last thing I'd want to do is fall into the ocean right now during the middle of a hurricane. Well, this is dangerous, life-threatening stuff here, and you know, I hope it was worth it. I guess, I don't know. Yeah, everything does look fine so far. Again, these are shots from a New Orleans city street, so the eye is not over New Orleans just yet. But New Orleans is starting to see the worst part of the storm affecting right now. So it's a hit or miss. Hello, Teresa Robbins and Arnold. Good to see you guys over here. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, what we're looking at is New Orleans City Street. This camera, amazingly, is still working. I've got to wonder now, because if some of you are watching as well, you can see where this light pole, the light was on earlier, it's off. So this camera that's giving us this feed is either and yes, Mari, I just got your text message. Go ahead and do that. I appreciate it. I just saw it. I couldn't type. But no, I'm wondering if these cameras... Okay, now the lights kick back on. So power is still up and running in this neighborhood. And I'll tell you something. This is a good sign, hopefully, for the folks of the city of New Orleans, because they've spent over $15 billion in the last 10 years to fix the levees, to fix the pumps, to help make things stronger against these types of storms. This is a Cat 4, a very strong Category 4. Again, Weather Channel wanted to call it a 5 or a 4.75 hurricane. Let's just call it what it is. It's a Cat 4. Very strong Cat 4. And also the first major landfall hurricane of 2021. And it's kind of crazy, if anything, to say that we're actually experiencing our first hurricane making a landfall in the United States. Remember now, Henri approached the United States as a Category 1, but was downgraded. Oh boy, there's a big gust right there. Wow. Yeah, those are not going to last very much longer. Once I said that 10 minutes ago. But again, Henri was a Cat 1 approaching landfall, and then it was downgraded right before landfall to a tropical storm. So this is the first hurricane landfall here in the United States, and unfortunately an area that has seen this kind of destruction too often. And now, unfortunately, those who stayed behind and are going to ride this out are hunkered down. Hopefully you are safe. Hopefully you have backup power, plenty of water, food. It's been a very busy week with solar activity, and now with Hurricane Ida, and there was some grumblings of the strengthening of this particular hurricane because of some of the space weather that we've had over the last few days. And the rapid intensification of Hurricane Ida from overnight. It went from a Cat 2 to a Cat 4 when we woke up this morning. I can't help to notice that, and I have to wonder, with all of the space weather that has impacted Earth's magnetosphere, is it possible, and I say yes, but I'm asking the question to be the devil's advocate, is it possible that once again we have noticed the sun has impacted effects on our climate? And the sudden rapid intensification of this storm in 24 hours, you have to believe, if you follow this channel, you have to believe that solar forcing had a hand in that strengthening. With the M flare that we had, several C-class flares, several CMEs, all minor, all weak, but still, we are getting bombarded by highly charged particles that interact with other particulates that are already in the atmosphere. Highly charged particles, you think of those as steroids for rain droplets and whatever precipitation that's going to fall. These highly charged particles are like steroids for these water vapor droplets, creating cloud nucleation, amongst other things, more lightning when we have a highly charged atmosphere. So overall, when you hear about people saying climate change and how dangerous these storms are going to be in the future, it has nothing to do with man-made global warming. This has everything to do with the science of cosmic radiation exposure in our atmosphere and how highly charged particles interact naturally with the Earth's atmosphere, and of course a very small contribution of emission from man. Now, to me, I would definitely have to say this is definitely the sun had something to do with how fast this intensified, for sure. Powers that be are helping HAARP. I don't know about that, guys. I don't know. You know, it's one thing to talk about weather engineering. It's one thing to talk about weather engineering on a small scale, because we know how difficult that is. But to talk about it on a global scale, or even a regional scale, just not so sure. I've seen the evidence, and I'll tell you right now, I'm completely convinced that the science behind all climate change and all weather starts with the sun, no matter what. And I don't think you can duplicate the kind of power that the sun has, in my opinion. I haven't seen it yet. So we're dealing with a complex situation that we don't always understand, folks. I know that's hard to wrap your minds around, but it's the truth. This type of science, climate science, space weather, and the impacts it has, not just weather, but volcanoes, earthquakes. That doesn't mean we're going to have catastrophic events because of grand solar minimum. It just depends on where you live. Just depends on how deep this grand solar minimum gets, how much low solar activity we actually get, how much instability we see in the jet stream during this. I mean, there's a lot of things we have to watch. But we do know, just from looking at historical evidence, that we always tend to see these record-breaking storms during grand solar minimums. Those 150-year floods, those 1,000-year storms, those always seem to happen during, at times, where the solar activity is very, very low. That wind is really starting to pick up there in New Orleans. And like I said, this is just a city street. I don't have the exact location, but we're seeing the clouds in the background really booking it. If I had to guess, we're seeing probably about 80 mile an hour wind gust right now. right now, Category 4 Hurricane Ida is approximately 55 miles away from New Orleans. So this is not even the heart of the storm yet. Now, it won't be a Category 4 by the time it hits New Orleans. It still could be a Category 1, as the map I'm looking at, really, it's given it confidence that we're going to see this storm as a possible Cat 2 as it just cruises past the west of New Orleans. But again, the eye of the storm is going to the west of New Orleans. The eastern part, the northeastern part of the storm is where you see the strongest winds, and that's what we're watching right now, is that these guys are going to get hit with all of this wind. Not so much the storm surge that we saw with Katrina, which was 28 feet in some spots. We're only talking at most 10 to 15 feet of storm surge, which is still a lot. It's still life-threatening, but thankfully nowhere near as bad as what we saw with Katrina. Right now, the stats on Hurricane Ida are staying the same. And we will inform you on the next update, which, if I'm not mistaken, the next update should be within the hour. See if we've got a 3 o'clock update. Just curious if there's anybody in the chat who is in the area of this storm. I'll go ahead and take a look inside the chat right now and see if we have any locals who are maybe witnessing this right now. Yes, it was west of downtown. That's correct, Teresa. Yeah, Mari, and that's the thing too. Mari just made the mention that the Grand Isle is getting the brunt of this, and what the bad news is that we are not able to get cameras in these areas where we're seeing the worst of the worst. Here's what Mari reports in the chat at 12:30 CDT. 3 Northeast Grand Isle, Jefferson County. Other federal reports, Hurricane Grand Isle buoy recorded a sustained wind speed of 71 miles an hour and a gust of 95 miles per hour before it stopped reporting at 12:30 p.m. The storm surge is bad, Mari is reporting. We are seeing things now on Twitter, and the cover photo that I have for this actual program is also showing you how bad the flooding is getting right now as we speak. I could get one ready, Mari. I could get one ready. And we're starting to see some buffering on the video here of our little street cam. We're going to continue watching this for a little bit longer, guys. I'm not going to pull away, but Mari is asking about a storm surge. They have upgraded the storm surge. So whoever said that the storm surge was going to be bad, you were correct, unfortunately. And let's go ahead and check that out. This is the latest update here for storm surge. And right now, it looks like that we're going to see the worst between, there's a line in there, Porchon and the mouth of the Mississippi, 12 to 16 feet. Even 8 to 12 feet from Morgan City to the port. That's up as well. We were talking 10 to 15 in this particular area here. Now they're calling it for 12 to 16 feet. This is going to be the worst of it. Lake Pontchartrain has been increased to 5 to 8 feet now. And out here was 7 to 11 feet, and now we are starting to see that number go up as well to 8 to 12 feet. So the storm surge, again, it's bad, but it's not anywhere near Katrina style, and that is a big relief that we're not going to see that type of flooding. However, this is still going to bring some pretty serious flooding. 12 to 15 feet, 12 to 16 feet. There's still a lot of water. It's still life-threatening, and it's still an emergency right now. And right now our thoughts and prayers are definitely going out to the folks who could not get out. Unfortunately, one of our chat members here is reporting that they heard that there were people still on Grand Isle before Ida hit, and that is very, very unfortunate, folks. Imagine being in a tornado type winds for over 15 minutes or longer in some cases, maybe even longer. So to have sustained winds of 71 miles per hour, sustained winds, would be terrifying. And I hope the folks that have been left behind are safe and they are in a very secure location. Joe asked, will the storm surge peak at high tide? I said yesterday I thought it was going to be a 7 p.m. landfall. Obviously, we were way off on that. This thing came in 5 hours early. And if it was at 7 p.m., then it would have been a low tide. But I'm not sure if we're at low tide right now or if we're heading into it. So that I don't know, but I was aware that if it was happening at 7 p.m., then it would be low tide. But obviously, we're about 5 hours early on that. And then maybe that is part of the reason why these storm surge totals have gone up as well, because we're still at high tide. So we'll still continue to monitor that situation. Good question out there in the chat as well. Okay, let's go back and check out some. Seems like it got a little calm here. I did turn it down a little bit as well. But power is still on. There's your lamp. Here we are in New Orleans downtown. And just really some heavy rain right now. Nothing too crazy. It's good to see that people have heeded the warnings. No one is out on the streets. And no one should be. Thankfully, they have heeded the warnings. Darren, that's what I'm talking about. Love to hear this. We are also in the Northeast, and that's the kind of weather we had 2 days ago. So I definitely feel you on that one. The tide is now in Atlantic City, New Jersey, is falling. Next high tide is 134. Low tide is 746. Atlantic City. One person reported Highway 1 had about 6 feet of water already. Yes, Clarissa, hopefully that YouTuber is doing well and is safe and is not anywhere in the affected areas. Hopefully he is safe. I'm with you on that. Again, we have to exercise extreme caution, folks. There's a lot of weather amateurs out there, amateur weather people, and I get it. You want to get the shot, but you got to be safe about it first. We got to make sure that you're not putting yourself in harm's way. And not only are you putting yourself in harm's way, but you're also putting the lives of a cop or a firefighter, a rescue worker who's going to have to risk their life to come out and rescue you as well. So make sure that everything that you do when it comes to this kind of stuff is safe. Yeah, I did see that, right? He was naughty. Maybe he had to go out and get some beer and cigarettes, Dowell's Homestead. Maybe he was making a quick run before. Oh, there's a guy out there in the street right now taking pictures. This is safe. I mean, it's just raining. It's no big deal, but still. The winds start picking up. It starts blowing debris around. You're risking. I mean, I can only imagine standing there during high winds. There's like a wind tunnel. So you got debris flying down those streets. Yeah, it's not safe. You're right. It shouldn't be outside, period. But, you know, people are going to do what they want to do, I guess. Hopefully he's careful. Again, we're monitoring the Hurricane Ida. It made landfall almost an hour now. Made landfall. Its impacts are being felt in New Orleans. It's 51 miles outside of the eye right now, but this eye is going to go west of the city of New Orleans. However, the eastern side of this storm is going to be packing a punch, and that's where you're going to see the rain and the wind. And let's take a quick look at where Ida is. And it is approaching. Now the western side looks pretty healthy as well. And most of it is still over the water. So that side, and then that has probably another reason why we're seeing the storm surge totals go up as well. But there you see the distance where Hurricane Ida will be making its journey all the way through Louisiana, through Mississippi, and into parts of western Tennessee by later on Monday into Tuesday. Climate Watcher says, I hope UAH will go negative, otherwise Bill Gates will dim the sun and Green Deal will destroy our freedom and economic. The UAH right now, folks, as far as that's concerned, if I had to make my guess, it's not going to be in the negative just quite yet. But I do feel like that temperatures could come in right around where they are right now and stay flat. So it's possible to see August end where it started as far as global temperatures. So I don't really expect much movement up or down for August's numbers. Antarctica has been really cold there lately. It still is about negative 1.7 below baseline, but still watching the situation, I don't expect much movement right now. However, I do expect more movement as we head into fall and winter here in the Northern Hemisphere, as we are already at a 70% chance of a La Nina happening again this winter. So those are usually signals of colder winters as well. And with everything else that we've seen with solar activity, cosmic radiation, how flux we are definitely in for an interesting 2021-22 winter season as well. But right now we're dealing with hurricane season, and we are starting to see things pick up as well. I think we got about 2 or 3 more systems that are going to be moving through the Gulf over the next 7 to 15 days. So things are about to get lit, as they usually do this time of year. August, September, early October is our peak time where we see the majority of these hurricanes, where we see landfalls. And right now we have gotten the first landfall of 2021, and it's a Category 4. So talk about making an entrance here. Hurricane Ida is doing just that. Folks, I think you hear the camera noise, and I'm going to go ahead and put the live shots back up. Again, I don't know how much longer this camera shot's going to be up. More rainfall right now than winds, but definitely where you have seen a lot of gusty winds here off of this little side street here in New Orleans. Darren says he's looking forward to the winter. If you live in the Northeast, then you must be, I don't know, to be looking forward to the winter in the Northeast after last winter. I'll tell you something. That's one of the worst. This is one of the coldest winters that I think I've been in. And I'm from Southwest Ohio, so that's not saying much. But I thought last winter here in the Northeast, here near upstate New York, towards Vermont, I felt like that we saw snow on the ground from one month to another, longer than I've ever experienced in my entire life. And I've been up in this area for 4 or 5 years now, and over time I've noticed each winter snow seems to be staying on the ground for a longer period of time. This winter, from December 15th through March 16th. And I had that memorized just for the simple fact that I couldn't believe that we took almost 4 months of just snow on the ground. Again, being from Southwest Ohio, I'm not used to that. So once again, the wind's picking up here in this side street in New Orleans. They're panning the cameras around here in New Orleans, downtown. Giving you an idea. Thankfully, it looks like the majority of the people have heeded the warnings and have gotten the heck out of Dodge. Again, Hurricane Ida made landfall as a Category 4 storm with sustained winds of 150 miles per hour. Maximum gust winds were 184 miles per hour with a central pressure of 933 moving northwest at 15 miles per hour. So this storm is not real super fast, but it's not slow. We might have lost that. Nope, here, just buffering a little bit. I'm telling you, I'm impressed with the power situation in this neighborhood. That's taken that the noise you hear in the background is not a solar burst over radio waves. That is the wind. Mari is now reporting that it's being said that 88 mile per hour wind gust in the bottom part of your screen. If you're watching with us, the bottom part of the screen, 88 miles per hour. It's going to get worse over the next 2 hours. Mari reports in the chat. And Mari is our lovely producer, and she also she's my fact finder. She's not like those fact finders at Facebook, though. I promise, folks. She's fair. Gusts, not guts. Obviously, if it was 88 mile per hour guts, then that's pretty gross. Come on, Clarissa. And it's interesting how we get these off and on periods of light winds and just heavy rain, and it kind of comes back, and then it goes, and then it, you know. But things only to get worse as we continue over the next 2 hours, especially New Orleans. We'll definitely see. These camera shots are going to show some pretty wicked winds here in the next 15-25 minutes. You hear that? Wow. See this pole back here in the background that's waving back and forth. Well, you could have just said, hey, there's a typo. Wind is really starting to pick up now. Look at that. Woo! The cat's not happy either. So we've actually now seen the winds really pick up. No worries, folks. That cat is not in the hurricane. It's just probably wants food or something. I'm sure of it. The cat does is eat. Anyway, the wind is starting to really pick up in this area, and we are starting to see more frequent blasts of gust here than we have gusts, wind gusts. Yeah, grand solar minimum for reals. It will decline for sure by the time it gets 50 more miles inland. We are talking about a Category 1, but you got to remember too, the northeastern side has the strongest of the winds, and right now, the strongest of those winds are pushing up near New Orleans. So, you are correct though. We are going to see this storm. We're going to see the storm definitely deteriorate as it gets closer to New Orleans. But until then, we are still dealing with tropical force winds, folks. Gusts of 100 miles an hour in certain areas is no joke. And the cat is stealing the show. Love the cat. Gotta love the cat. Alright, if you're just tuning in, we are watching Hurricane Ida. Made landfall over an hour ago as a Category 4 hurricane. Sustained winds at 150 miles per hour with a maximum gusts of 184 miles per hour. Central pressure is at 933, moving northwest at 15 miles per hour. Again, we will continue to bring you updates on Hurricane Ida. And here we are in another gusty period of winds in this bottom corner, folks. That's the wind that you're hearing. That annoying hissing noise that is being captured. If you can listen closely, you can actually hear the howling. Phew. I would Mari is reporting now, buildings are beginning to come apart in Houma, which is on the southern tip of New Orleans, where this storm basically made landfall head on. Near the Ramada West on Tunnel Boulevard, the bad part is there is a long way to go, absolutely. Fervent reminder, does the GSM have anything to do with Planet X theory? I'm not too familiar with either, but plan to research both. I'm just going to leave it at no. All right, see you later. Got rid of that guy. You don't come to a weather update looking for chicks. I don't know. This guy was looking for chicks. Ben K. Ludi, whatever. It's probably something like binary code. If I say it, I'll get zapped in my computer or something. So I won't say it. Hear a car alarm in the background, so it makes me wonder if we are now starting to... Debris is flying around, hitting vehicles, causing alarms to go off. So, again, this is only the very, very beginning. Yeah, bad when the sheet metal goes flying. Absolutely, Pete. And we are seeing some really powerful wind gusts, folks. I mean, I should be showing the radar and everything, but I just feel like this is probably one of the better shots that we're seeing live right now from her. And this is not even the eye of the storm. This is in New Orleans. The storm is about 45 miles away from New Orleans. It won't pass through New Orleans, but the northeast side will. And that's why we're seeing such terrible wind. As of right now, Zed, it's still showing as a Cat 4. However, I'm sure that will start to deteriorate here soon. All right, so let's go ahead and see if we can find some more headlines here. Thank you very much, Mari. CNN breaking news reports a number of sewage pump stations in New Orleans are having power outages of Hurricane Ida, raising the risk of sewer backups at homes. Folks, that's not good. We've spent $15 billion here in New Orleans, okay, to help with the levee systems. Uh-oh. Well, we got that out of there. Woo! Bad, bad boys. My goodness. Anyway, we spent $15 billion to strengthen the infrastructure of this area to help with the pumps. And now, generator backup power may not be enough to run these pumps for the amount of rain that's getting ready to fall here. Sorry, folks, for the interruptions, but We're getting a little bit attacked here. Sorry about that. Okay, anyway. So yeah, CNN reporting that sewage pump stations in New Orleans are having power outages and raising the risk of sewer backups. Not good. Not good at all. And lots of footage now coming in from downtown New Orleans. There's an empty trash can flying down the road. That's how strong the wind is. It's pretty bad. Or it's getting there anyway. See if I can find any more headlines. Here's a good tweet here from Stephen Miles. Please understand that what we're about to see with Ida is just a natural disaster. Nothing to do with the oil industry. New Orleans EMS says it has suspended all operations as Hurricane Ida makes landfall. It will continue operations when conditions are safe for the responders. That was 46 minutes ago. So we have a problem with now the sewage pumps failing, and now the EMS has suspended all operations until conditions are safe. And of course, you're not going to get someone to rescue you in the middle of a hurricane. So this is now extremely a dangerous situation, not just because of the storm, but now you're in the dark for a little while, folks. If you're still out and about in this, please get somewhere safe, hunker down, because there's not going to be any help for a few hours. Already power poles laying down on the ground across General de Gaulle and the Algeries. Ida winds are moving over New Orleans. And we can see that in the bottom right hand of your screen. That is a side street in the city of New Orleans. Lots of footage of the ocean crashing up against buildings right now, folks. The storm surge is already happening. Louisiana Place. Kim is mounted underneath a restaurant. I might have to go to that because if this one goes out. Yeah, this is only going to get worse, folks. I'm going to switch over really quick. I want to show you the storm surge right now. That appears about 4 or 5 feet. Maybe 3 feet. Not too terribly bad. No, a little bit higher now, about 4 or 5 feet, based on that speed limit sign. Wow. The hysteria is already starting. 2 years back-to-back powerful hurricanes hit Louisiana. Well, Hurricane Laura was nowhere near as strong as what Ida is, in my opinion. But I guess those who live there can speak for themselves, and if you experience it, I'm not gonna second guess you there. Live updates on Hurricane Ida from Houma, Louisiana, with conditions deteriorating. Reports of 148-mile-an-hour wind gusts on Grand Isle before the enemy broke. Big damaging winds coming to Houma in east and north, just like we talked about with how strong the winds are. Now, thankfully, folks, when we get to New Orleans, let's hope that this is further than just a Cat 2. Hopefully it's down to a Cat 1 by that time. But this is still going to bring some pretty strong winds as we move into the afternoon. POS President approved emergency disaster declaration ahead of Hurricane Ida, making landfall in order to activate federal resources that can assist states most affected by the storm. Yeah, he better be on that. He better be on this. No delayed reactions are going to be acceptable for any effort of recovery down here in New Orleans. We have to learn from our mistakes, what we had at Katrina. That could never happen again. Here's a fun fact. Hours before Ida made landfall in Louisiana, Tropical Storm Julian became the 10th named storm of 2021 in this Atlantic hurricane season. It was expected to weaken and dissipate, forecasters say. Just like Henri. You know, Henri was forecasted to move to the northeast and head towards the UK, and something changed it and shifted it towards the United States, and the northeast got hit. Just now from Fox 8 NOLA, this is the French Quarter. Part of a roof has paled off, 88 mile per hour gust. That's in the top left-hand screen. I don't think we saw that on ours, but that is what we're talking about. Again, Hurricane Ida advisory 14A. I have an extremely dangerous Category 4 Hurricane Ida moving over southeastern Louisiana. Catastrophic storm surge, extreme winds, and flash flooding in portions of Louisiana. A famous spokeswoman tells us that 3.5 million meals, 139,000 tarps, and 2.5 million liters of water have been shipped to staging locations to help Hurricane Ida response. 22 federal agencies are supporting efforts. 16 urban search and rescue teams and 200 ambulances are in transit. Now that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm thankful that we are seeing something in the government working for the people right now. So let's hope that effort continues to grow, because this is just the beginning, folks. And we are fearing a lot of damage, especially hearing about 145 mile an hour winds in Grand Isle. Mari is reporting that the wells are shut in at the wellhead and have the SCSSV surface safety valve. The facilities may have some oil in them, but a limited amount. Not good. Wind picking up again here in New Orleans in the bottom right. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at our radar and see where Ida is. And color me red here, but she appears to be starting to slow down. We'll have to wait when they update us here in the next update. I feel like this storm is pumping the brakes. And watch here at the last part of this run, you see it expand as well. It's exhaling, and now it's starting to get charged up again. So we are seeing the weaker side of this storm here, or this starting to weaken a little bit because it is over more land, but that doesn't mean we're not still packing the punch with the winds, and that is where the cameras that we're looking at are, right at the tip of my arrow. Again, this storm Maximum sustained winds of 150 miles per hour when it made landfall. 184 maximum gusts, moving northwest 15 miles per hour with a pressure of 933. Let's see if we have any new updates at this time. Coming from the Weather Channel, Comedy Central I like to call them, but anyway, they are reporting that this storm is still a Category 4. That is impressive. This storm has been on land now for about an hour or longer. It's 25 miles away from Houma, Louisiana. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Maximum sustained winds. All right, give me a minute, folks. Okay, so like I suspected, unfortunately, this storm is beginning to slow down as it has dropped down 3 miles per hour, folks. So on that last radar that I saw, I recognized that to me, it looked like it was slowing down just a bit as it made landfall. Check out the weather cams again. And there is an update on Hurricane Ida. And here we go. The latest from the National Weather Service is as stated. Hurricane Ida is still a Category 4. A Category 4 with maximum winds of 144 miles per hour. That's dropped from 150 miles per hour. And the maximum wind gusts right now are 178 miles per hour. That is also down 6 miles per hour from the storm. So this storm has been over land now for almost an hour or so, and we're still having 144 mile per hour sustained winds, maximum gust of 178, with a millibar pressure, with a central pressure of 934 millibars. The storm has slowed down. It is moving now northwest at 12 miles an hour. It was moving northwest at 15 miles per hour. So now the concern is how long can this storm maintain its strength over land, continue with these battering winds and rainfall. We're an hour in and we're still seeing quite the damage already, and this storm is not even budging. I mean, 934 pressure, that's up by 1 millibar from when it made landfall. So in 1 hour, we've seen this storm increase pressure by 1 millibar. We've seen the storm slow down 3 miles an hour. We've also seen maximum sustained winds slow down to 144 miles per hour. Again, when you're talking about 144 miles an hour and 150 miles an hour, there's not much difference. But the main thing as well, too, that we need to focus on is the speed of this storm. Does this storm continue to slow down? If this storm continues to slow down, that means the rain totals are going to go up. We're already having power issues, so if the power goes out, are these pumps going to fail us as well at the levees? Let's go ahead and check out our power outages really quick. Mari, I'm not sure if this one is updating or not. And there goes our sound. That was not me, folks. Again, I'm checking for power outage updates here, folks. Just give me a second. All right, so here we go. Major update here on the power outages. And unfortunately, it has went up doubled over the last hour. State outages now are at 319,000. The Plaquemines County is looking at about 10,000 people out without power. Terrebonne, 23,000 are without power. St. John the Baptist County, 13,000. So you see down here in southern Louisiana, and really the worst of it is going to be, like I said, the part of impact for right in this area, and then of course the northeastern side where the winds are more increasing as well, and a wicked part of the storm is up here. So we're going to see those high winds affect here, and we're only seeing the beginning of power outages here in this part of eastern Louisiana, southeastern Louisiana. So in an hour, we have seen the power outages double, more than double in an hour. We have seen our storm decrease by just a little bit in an hour. Not enough to make you satisfied on if we can get out of this without getting too much damage. Let's see what's going on. Okay, that's better. All right. Lots going on here, folks, at the Grand Solar Minimum channel. If you guys like what you see, please give us a thumbs up. Give us a share out there. Also become a subscriber if you're not already. We have paid memberships that support what we do here. It's like a tip jar. If you join us for $1.99, you're just saying, hey, thanks for the work you do. But we also have other things as well, such as a Teespring store. If you guys are already following the Grand Solar Minimum, you might want to get something for a conversation starter. I love CO2 t-shirts. Got it all. Check out our Teespring store as well. They should pull the power for safety measures, Pete. I would expect it to be a part of some of these folks' routines. So that's not unheard of. Thank you, Star Sister. Appreciate the support. Now, it's interesting to watch here this the city camera here in the bottom right-hand corner. And correct me if I'm wrong, but does it appear to me that the winds are kind of dying down a little bit? Maybe? I don't know. They seemed a little more violent earlier. And as I speak, we start to see them increase once again. Yeah, never mind. There it comes. Those trees are really whipping around now. I guess the storm heard me. All right, if you're just now joining us, we are tracking Hurricane Ida. Right now, the current stats on Ida is that we are looking at sustained winds at 144 miles per hour. It is still a Cat 4. That's right, it's still a Cat 4. Central pressure on this is also dropped. I have not updated yet on AccuWeather, but it is up. I'm sorry, it's risen to 934 millibars. It is moving now northwest at 12 miles per hour. So when this storm made landfall, it was moving about 15 miles per hour, and it has slowed down just a little bit. And I'll be interested to see what happens over the next hour or so when they come out with the next update. Right now, still looking for more reports on Hurricane Ida. Information should be flowing in a lot more frequently now that we've had landfall now for over an hour and a half. Not much has changed on this storm, though. The intensity is still pretty life-threatening. It's still a very dangerous storm, folks. We have hours and hours to go. Ida made a direct hit on Port Fortune, a critical hub for the U.S. oil industry. According to its website, Port Fortune plays a strategic role in furnishing the U.S. with about 18% of its oil supply. The port has lots of tank farms. Oil spills will be a hazard. So, unfortunately, you also know what this means. We are now going to watch for the price of gasoline to rise. Boy, the damage is starting to come in, folks. I'm going to go ahead and switch over and show you what we're looking at. This is Huma. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, by the way. Wow, snapped in half. So any idea of how strong the wind is? This is it right here. Only just the beginning, folks. I'm continuing to find footage, folks. It's just incredible on some of this damage so far. Wind's really picking up now in New Orleans. Wow, whipping the power lines. That's pretty bad. We haven't seen it go that bad here in a while. So it looked like we had a lull for a little bit here in New Orleans, but definitely starting to see the winds picking up. And I got some video footage here of Gulfport, Mississippi. Remember, that's east of the eye. And we always talk about how the winds and the storm surge is just as bad on the eastern side of this storm. Well, take a look. Homa. Thank you. I've been saying Huma. It's Homa. Homa, Louisiana. Yes, the storm surge is very worrying indeed. Here's some images from Gulfport as well. You guys want to see what NASA can see? I'll give you a quick look at that as well. Pretty massive storm, folks. I've seen a lot of comparisons to Katrina on Twitter, and size. Both of them are pretty massive storms. So was Laura. Again, lots of damage being reported. Here's some more footage of more heavy rain and footage of a roof tearing off here at some point. Whoa! Wow! This is why you do not want to be outside right now, folks. Oh my, that is... Okay, so we saw the other half of this video. Wow! I'm going to watch that one again. That's insane. Absolutely insane. So we saw, so there's the power line. That's the power pole that's up. We saw the footage earlier with everything down. We didn't know how it got that way. Well, here's the reason why. Watch this roof right here, folks. This has to be a law enforcement that catch this on a dash cam. Watch. Oh boy. And it just karate chops the power pole over here. Look at that. Just takes it down. Good Lord. So a very, very, very dangerous situation is arising right now all over southeast Louisiana. Again, folks, you don't want to play around with this. Stay out of it. You don't have to be in it. Stay out of it. And that's a lot of the reason why the EMS is suspending all operations right now. It is not safe for even police officers or firefighters or EMS to even be out in. So hopefully, and I feel like looking at some of this footage that, you know, there is definitely a lot of people who have heeded these warnings. It appears that a lot of folks are out of town, have gotten in their safe spot. So that's the good news. But again, some really scary looking stuff here. Let's check out what it looks like in the cockpit of a plane. Okay, let me make sure. Okay, yeah, this is NOAA. Just want to make sure it wasn't one of those groups that'll... Here we go. There is the eye. Looking at this from the cockpit of the plane they fly for hurricane measurements, absolutely breathtaking sight here, folks. These guys go up in a plane and risk their lives. What a service they provide. Winds sound like they're picking up once again in New Orleans. Just when I thought things were starting to die down, more damage in the French Quarter. Again, we saw some people out walking and about, and again, this is why they don't want you downtown right now. Get out, stay indoors. Hopefully nobody has been hurt so far. We have seen people out and about walking around. We have seen some cars driving around in this area as we are following it live right now in the French Quarter in your top left-hand screen. Stay indoors, folks. Do not play around with this. And this is just going to continue to get worse. There's no relief in sight at this point. Let's check out the radar really fast on Ida. Again, I've noticed in the last few times we've seen this make landfall. It does feel like it's slowing down. The eastern side of this storm, this concerns me a little bit. Possibly wrapping much stronger winds up into New Orleans, but maintaining itself over here, the western side and the southwestern side. So, but you can see these outer bands also forming. So this outflow is just expanding all through the south. We're seeing possible tornado watches here across Pensacola, Florida, parts of Alabama as well. So everybody in the south along the Gulf Coast is still at risk from effects from this particular storm. Check out the power outages update, see if we have anything changing just yet. And just a little bit, 9,000 more power outages, but you're starting to see now, we're starting to see this area right here, and this was not colored earlier, so now the far northern part of southern Louisiana here, the southeastern region, just northeast of New Orleans, we are starting to see more power outages as we speak. Let's go back over to our cam and check out what's going on. Doesn't sound like they're picking up once again here. And this is just some neighborhood in New Orleans, folks. This is I don't have a specific location. I just know this is in the outskirts of New Orleans, a city street, side street, and this camera is providing us a live shot. Again, a lot of the shots for the ocean making landfall, a lot of those cameras are down, power is out. I just showed you that. And now we get a little bit of calm. If you're just joining us here at the Grand Solar Minimum channel, Hurricane Ida is still Category 4, 144 miles per hour sustained winds, and maximum gusts at 174 miles per hour. Central pressure is around 934. Lots of flooding, lots of damage, roofs being peeled off. This is not safe at all, and we can start to see here in the top left-hand corner, we are starting to see the water starting to puddle up here, and some minor flooding has begun. Now, it's been raining for just an hour and a half, as consistent as it has right now. So this is going to continue to pick up as well. Again, I expect to lose sound of this camera altogether. I'm shocked that we're still getting the footage, to be honest with you. And this is a proof that $15 billion they spent in Louisiana to help protect better of their infrastructure during these storms. Something that it did work out, I'd say. The power still being on for this particular camera, I'm super impressed. Again, let's check out temperatures around the Gulf right now as far as water temperatures are concerned. And this is why this particular storm here was able to maintain a Category 4 strength. Let's go over here. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about. So when the water temperature is 85 degrees, you can tell why this thing strengthened to a Cat 4 and stayed that way. And the bulk of it is still over the western side here, right where my blue arrow is. So 85 mile an hour or 85 degree temperature here. it's going to keep that storm pretty healthy on this side of it. Obviously, the storm is more landfall over here, so it's not going to be as strong. But our radar is indicating the strength of it as far as holding together, definitely over here, just because of all the fuel that we have in the Gulf right now with basically bath water. This is very, very warm waters. Other key stats to watch right now. We're also tracking a few other storms, but I don't want to really get too involved in that just yet. I wouldn't be surprised to see on this next advisory this storm slowing down below 10 miles per hour. Check out our weather cams once again, giving you live coverage of Hurricane Ida. This is cameras located in the French Quarter at the top left, and then a side street here in New Orleans. Give you an idea of the impact. Unfortunately, a lot of the areas like Homa, not a lot of footage available. Their power is out. They got the brunt of this, 144 mile an hour winds. Well, Darren, welcome to the channel. We agree with you on that one for sure. Again, we're getting periods of wind gusts from this bottom right-hand corner, really showing you how bad the winds are. But now we're starting to see in the top left-hand corner, this is the French Quarter, folks. Now we're starting to see the haze that you're seeing. That's the wind blowing the rain around. Now we're starting to see some more intense winds happening here in the downtown area. There's a flag, kind of gives you an idea as well. And now we're starting to see the rain come down in sheets almost. This camera does pan back and forth, so. And again, for the most part, we can see a lot of folks have heeded the warnings. Kind of give you an idea too, we're not seeing that series of flooding right now, but it does look like there is rain starting to puddle up in the streets, but nothing too crazy at the moment. Right now, we're dealing with wind gusts right around 88 miles per hour here in the bottom right-hand quarter. TC Bramley, yes sir it is. Faraday Cage fans all the way around here at this channel. In fact, we had to announce an alert yesterday for a possible X-flare, and I recommended folks putting electronic devices and such, if they have Faraday cages, to maybe put it in overnight just in case if we saw a X-class solar flare. Thankfully, that alert has been lifted, and we are not under threat anymore. We're seeing a lot of buffering from this bottom right camera, and it might be time to switch the sound to the French Quarter if the French Quarter has any sound. It does. So let's go ahead and mute the other one. We can hear the wind really good on this one. And that's kind of what I'm going for. I would like to just try to give you guys as much experience of what's happening right now. Obviously, this is the safest way to do that without being in the storm itself. I'll keep the camera feed on in the bottom right, but I went ahead and turned the sound on. This is downtown New Orleans right now as we speak. That howling of the wind, the rain falling, this is current. Well, thank you very much, TC. Glad to have you aboard. Again, welcome to the Grand Solar Minimums coverage of Hurricane Ida. We're here covering the storm now as it made landfall almost 2 hours ago. Still a Category 4 with maximum winds at 144 miles per hour with a gust of 174. Reports of wind gusts in New Orleans right now anywhere from 88 to 120 miles per hour are possible. Again, we can hear in the background some of these alarm systems going off. It appears that we finally lost that camera in that side street here in New Orleans. This one right here. My guess is that this camera is just outside of the downtown area. Now the downtown, oh, now it came back. Good. I'm impressed. Buffering a lot over there though, so. Okay, Mari is helping me out here. Lightning is still occurring in the inner wall of Hurricane Ida post-landfall. A sign that Category 4 storm is maintaining its intensity. Wow. So the lightning strikes within the Eyewall are still occurring, and yes, that is a huge indication that it's maintaining its intensity. It also says the wetlands covered by the storm surge are allowing Ida to act as if it's still over water. So that is why we are seeing such a strong hurricane right now that has made landfall and is continuing to batter southern and southeastern Louisiana. We get these spurts where it gets quiet and then it gets loud again, but we have seen tons of gusts that have... I thought for sure we're going to take down some power poles in the bottom right-hand corner. That camera is now buffering a lot. I think we are probably going to have to lose that one. It doesn't look like it's coming back, but the downtown area is starting to see a lot more action now. The eye is going to go just west of New Orleans. So we're going to get the, if you are in the New Orleans area, Lake Pontchartrain, you're going to get the eastern, northeastern side of this storm. Right now, location of the storm is near 30 kilometers of Homa. Sustained winds at 140 miles per hour. And it is slowing down once again. Now we are seeing it slowing down to 11 miles per hour. So reports are coming in. Maximum sustained winds have dropped to 140 miles per hour. And at this time, I guess I'll have to go. Mari, I'm going to need your assistance on this bottom camera if you're listening. Hopefully she is. We'll keep this continuing here on the French Quarter. As we were bound, we knew this was going to happen at some point. And I was surprised that we actually, that we continued to see all right, bear with me, folks. I'm trying to get another image up here for you so we can take a look. wind is really picking up now in downtown New Orleans. We are definitely seeing an increase. All right, so all right, so I think I found something here that we can take a look at. This is a live look at the city of Biloxi here in Mississippi. Kind of give you a gauge. This is the eastern side of this hurricane. And I just kind of wanted to show an image of our ocean right now. This image that we're seeing here on the bottom right-hand side is the city of Biloxi here in Mississippi. And where are we as far as radar goes, right? Biloxi will see effects from this storm with the rain and the storm surge coming up from the eastern side of this. So this will be a good camera to watch as well. Now it's not getting the brunt of this, but you can already see the back outer bands forming here, and rain and wind are still going to be an issue for this area as well. Let's go back to the cams here. See if we can refresh any updates on Hurricane Ida so far across the news wire. We'll take a look at power outages here just a second. I want to see if I can find any new headlines. Again, a lot of people trying to compare this to Katrina. We're not going to see the storm surge of this storm like we did Katrina. That's just not going to happen. Hurricane Ida has shut down more than 95% of the oil production in the Gulf of Mexico. Regulators say that's likely to increase prices. Yep. We've already talked about an area here in New Orleans that supplies us with 18% of our oil supply. And now, Hurricane Ida has shut down more than 95% of the oil production in the Gulf of Mexico. So expect high gas prices probably starting next week. This is something that won't last forever, but expect it. 10 to 15 cents a gallon probably. Wouldn't be shocked to see $3.50 gas after this storm. That may be true there, Dallas Helmstead. I believe that. Starting to hear some sirens off in the background. Again, the EMS has suspended all operations until conditions are safe enough for EMS, firefighters, and police to safely conduct rescue operations. Right now, if you call 911 for an emergency, unfortunately, it's possible that you will not get a response at this time. The wind noise that we are hearing right now is from the picture that you see the fire truck from. The upper left-hand corner is the sound that we're picking up. The bottom right-hand corner is Biloxi, Mississippi. If anybody is familiar with the area in the Golden Meadow, it's in the core of the hurricane. Here is footage of what it looked like an hour ago. Let's take a look. Can't see much, can you? So visibility is worthless at this point. Wow, that was a huge gust. The sound in the background you are hearing is the wind gusts up in the left-hand top corner. That's the wind gust in downtown Louisiana. Oh my gosh. More footage. More footage, folks. It's coming in left and right now. This is 13 minutes ago. Says before anything, I don't know the location of this, but this is Ida going insane, and it's so loud. I've never heard anything like it. This is unreal, folks. The power that we're seeing here from this storm and the wind, and it's been over landfall now for almost 2 hours. Bowie Maker says, I bet the Waffle House is open. Why does the Waffle House remind me? It almost has that gas station bathroom floor. I mean, it's that right there turns me off from even wanting to eat in there. Mimi Baby, yes, I believe this has a lot to do with the sun's activity. They ask if this is a cause of the sun's solar flare explosion 2 days ago to intensify Hurricane Ida inland. You know, before I got on the air today, earlier, Lee Wheelbarger and I chatted real quick, and he also thought, you know, we need to watch this storm and its intensity because of the solar activity that we've had over the last couple of days. It is definitely going to impact this storm. And, I mean, you can't say to see the rapid intensification of this storm in 24 hours to go from a Cat 2. When you went to bed last night, it was a Cat 2. Okay? You woke up this morning, it's a Cat 4. Winds are still packing a huge punch at 140 miles per hour. My God. Watching this footage here is just insane. It's hard to see what's going on. It looks like debris is flying everywhere. Water is flying everywhere. The wind is just insane right now. Probably one of the strongest storms. And I saw a lot of chatter on Twitter about how this is going to be the strongest storm to hit New Orleans since 1860. More footage here. This is Houma, Louisiana. Eyewall still coming. That was 16 minutes ago, folks. 16 minutes ago, and we've got rain, driving rain. Jeffrey Dotson says, don't give me that global warming bullcrap. I won't. You won't hear anything about global warming on this channel, my friend. Mimi Baby reports in the chat, wind gusts at 160 miles per hour. Yes, where? I'd like to know where that is. Again, if you're just now tuning in to the Grand Solar Minimum, Hurricane Ida is now a Cat 4 storm still with winds at 140 miles per hour, maximum gust still at 174 miles per hour. Pressure is still sitting at 934 millibars, and the storm has slowed down slightly to 11, moving northwest at 11 miles per hour. Just a bunch of insane footage, folks, I am finding as we continue to talk live on the air. Let's check out our power outage situation real fast as well. So the last time we saw the power outages, we were sitting right around 319,000 power outages for the state. Let's go ahead and update that number. We are now sitting at 372,000 power outages across the state of Louisiana. The majority of it is here where Ida has made landfall. So if you are anywhere in the path of this storm, power outage is likely. So we will see power outages develop over this area over the next several hours. As you see right now, we've got some very, very dark reds. That's 100%. 100% power outages, folks. 60% right here, and then the 30% in these little corners here. But these dark red areas, these are direct hits of Hurricane Ida, Category 4, made landfall at 150 miles per hour, folks. Maximum wind gust at 188 miles per hour. As you hear the wind in the background, that's from downtown New Orleans. I'll show you that camera here just in a minute. So we're going to continue to monitor as we're only just getting started. We're 2 hours into the landfall of this storm, and we're almost at 500,000 power outages at the time. And these numbers will get updated more often as we move through the evening. Let's go back to the weather cams here. Check out the French Quarter. On your bottom right-hand side is Biloxi, Mississippi. We expect some kind of impact from this storm as well in this region. So you're already seeing the ocean there near Mississippi becoming a lot more violent. The rain is starting to pick up more. We're starting to see, also start to see heavier winds as well. Yeah, J-Dog in the chat says this could be weeks before they get their power. Indeed, it could be. Very much so. And unfortunately, there could be another storm on the way in the next 10 to 15 days to hit the same exact area. That's something I reported on about a week ago, where we first saw this hurricane. It approached the Gulf. It was heading for southern Texas. Well, it shifted east. Still, in that forecast track, there was 2 storms that were going to hit southern Texas. That forecast track is still proving that we're going to see 2 storms in the next 10 to 15 days affect the same area in New Orleans, possibly again. Let's hope that doesn't come to fruition, but the GFS does show some pretty strong signals that the Gulf is about to get busy. It's really hard to see wind when on these shots on downtown. Obviously, we've got buildings here. It would be nice if we had some flags, because you hear the wind blowing, and it's hard to find anything in the background moving out here. This right here is a little bit of an indicator. There's a little bit of a flag right there. There was one over here earlier. I don't see it anymore. All we really have to watch is the way the rain is hitting the road right now. And we are starting to see the water starting to puddle up a little bit more. Flooding is beginning here in the French Quarter. You guys are watching live coverage here on the Grand Solar Minimum channel of Hurricane Ida. She made landfall about 2.5 hours ago. It's 4:19, folks. But she made landfall about 2.5 hours ago. So far, we have not heard of any fatalities or injuries, but there is widespread damage and widespread power outages throughout southern southeast Louisiana right now. Let's take a look at the radar at Hurricane Ida. AccuWeather finally updated their stats. However, those are a little bit off. This storm has officially slowed down to 11 miles per hour. I can say that with confidence. And you can see it on the radar. This thing is starting to stall out. There's the eye. And we got rain that will be affecting the Biloxi area. More storm surge as this storm will continue to churn in the Gulf of Mexico. As Hurricane Ida, the first major hurricane landfall of 2021. But nonetheless, the first hurricane landfall for 2001 as well. Yeah, J-Dog, not good at all. If we start to see this storm slow down and pump the brakes and sit over an area for a long period of time, not only are we dealing with the high damaging winds, but the torrential downpours, the flooding. Go back to the live weather cams here. On the bottom right, we're starting to see conditions starting to really deteriorate in Biloxi, Mississippi. If you guys look here, this is Biloxi right now, live look. It has dramatically changed over the last 2 minutes in Biloxi. What you're hearing at the top is the wind here in downtown New Orleans, French Quarter. Things are really starting to get ugly here in New Orleans, but also just in the last 2 minutes, we have seen conditions deteriorate big time here in Biloxi. This storm is currently moving at northwest 11 miles per hour. Yes, Trev, still a Category 4 storm at the moment. Sustained winds at 140 miles per hour, and 174 has been the recorded maximum gusts that we've had so far. Central pressure is still sitting at 934 millibars. Yeah, very interesting to see how fast things deteriorated in Biloxi. And look, you can check this light pole out. You want to get a gauge of how bad the wind is. We see this pole starting to rock back and forth. So Biloxi is now starting to see the effects from this storm. We'll have to check out the power situation as well. Caleb puts it was 150 earlier. Yes, sir. It made landfall at 150 miles per hour, believe it or not. Maximum gust was 188 miles per hour. Yeah, it's still a pretty strong storm, folks. 934 millibars is our central pressure. But as you guys can see in this top left corner, and they moved the camera a little bit too, we're starting to see a lot more rain, sheets of rain just being driven across the streets here in the French Quarter. The CME could be here, indeed. In fact, we are expecting a minor storm today. Thanks for bringing that up, but we are expecting a minor G1 storm later today or early tomorrow. And that is from a previous CME that was hurled this way. Now, AR-2860, the sunspot that had the X-flare warning yesterday, is still producing C-class solar flares. In fact, SPACEWEATHER.com is reporting right now that AR-2860 has the capability of still producing a strong M-class solar flare. Now, the N-class is right below the X. It's not going to cause a grid power failure or anything like that. But again, we are seeing this rapid intensification from this storm. And we know we've been bombarded by highly charged particles from our sun over the past several days. This has been one of the most active weeks of solar activity that we've seen since July. And remember, July we had 6 sunspots on the sun for a total of a 87 sunspot number. Right now we've got 4 sunspots on our sun with a sunspot smooth number of 77. So a lot's popping off right now on the sun. A lot's popping off right now here in the Gulf of Mexico. Biloxi and Mississippi now starting to see their conditions get worse. New Orleans has already been in this now for just about a couple hours now, but the eye of the storm is still not yet past west of New Orleans. So that northeastern side is still going to see these strong winds move in. And we are expecting storm surge in New Orleans to be somewhere right around 7 to 10 feet is what I believe it said earlier. Let's see if I can find let me see if I can find us. There's a storm surge. Let's go check out the storm surge real quick, and I'll bring you right back to the cameras. We are still expecting quite a bit of storm surge. Actually, like I said, they've upped it a little bit on this side to 8 to 12 feet. New Orleans, Lake Pontchartrain, look out, 5 to 8 feet. But New Orleans was supposed to get somewhere around the 4 to 7 feet. Now they've raised it to the 8 to 12 feet in this location. But as you go further out, close Mobile Bay and towards Biloxi, storm surges should be below the 3 to 5 feet area at this time. But a lot can still change. Actually, I misspoke on that. We're looking at 5 to 8 feet of storm surge for the Biloxi area. This is Alabama, Jake. Let's get it together. So 5 to 8 feet expected. That's still pretty good storm surge. Not good at all as far as damage is concerned. But when I talk about intensity, and the storm, mind you, is over here. The eye is over here. And we're still seeing the effects of 5 to 8 feet of storm surge in a different state. So this is a very, very powerful and large storm that we are dealing with right now. And mainly, we're dealing with, it's the storm surge and the wind right now. Storm surge is nowhere near what it was of Katrina. Katrina was 28 feet in some spots. Here, we're only dealing with half of that. Anywhere from 10 to 15 feet was predicted. They've brought that area down smaller, by the way, 12 to 16 feet. It's increased as far as the prediction. It was 10 to 15. We have now seen an increase of this storm surge. The cat is not happy about this either. Okay. Sorry about that. Luna wanted to say hello. Let's go back to the weather cam, shall we? Again, the rain is definitely starting to pile up in New Orleans. Streets are starting to puddle up. We see the sheets of rain being driven into the streets. Biloxi starting to show conditions getting worse. Again, we are watching Hurricane Ida live here in New Orleans, making landfall about 2 hours ago, and she's still packing a punch. Winds are sustained at 140 miles per hour, with maximum wind gust of 178 miles per hour. Central pressure of 934 millibars. This storm is slowing down, folks. It's only moving northwest at 11 miles per hour. So with the slowing down of this storm, the winds still howling pretty bad. He says, embrace it, it's already wet. Well, let me tell you something, folks. You can embrace it all you want when a tree limb comes wrapping down the road and knocks you out or maybe even kills you. I can't stress, it drives me crazy when I see folks out here in this dangerous situation that we have right now in New Orleans with wind gusts over 100 miles per hour, and there are people who are just walking around as if this is just some thunderstorm. Even if you did survive other hurricanes, I still don't consider that enough experience to be out in the middle of a storm like this, especially right now. This is the heart of everything. No, Jonah Thompson, you're right, it is not as bad as Katrina. Katrina had 28 feet of storm surge. The only thing this storm packs a punch compared to Katrina is the wind speed. The winds are insane compared to Katrina. And again, that wind howling noise that you're hearing is coming from your upper left-hand side of the screen in downtown New Orleans, in the French Quarter. Winds are gusting anywhere from 80 to 100 miles per hour right now. So where does this storm go after New Orleans? Well, let's take a look real quick. That wind is really picking up too. Let's take you back over here to the stat tracker. And as you can see, the hurricane track of this storm is west of New Orleans. Here's New Orleans right here. The eye is going to pass west of the storm, well away from New Orleans. But like I said, the northeastern side of this storm is giving the eastern part of Louisiana hell. And notice how I said earlier that we were starting to see some weakening. Well, now that energy is charging back up, and we are starting to see some re-intensification here on the southeastern side of this hurricane. So New Orleans, not out of the woods yet. This part of New Orleans, this area right here, has already experienced 100% power outages. So the beating continues here as Ida has barely made any progress as far as landfall is going. She has only moved a few miles since this landfall has begun. And again, like I said, we're seeing the storm staying together very well here on the southwestern side because it's still mainly over water. And the water temperatures on this side of New Orleans right now, this side of Louisiana, are between 85 and 87 degrees. So this storm right now, where it's located, is still able to generate more energy from the warm ocean waters. Mari also mentioned earlier that areas in here are wetlands, and the storm surge basically has created more, so to speak, area for this storm to stay alive on. So instead of what it should be over land right now, the storm is still over water, and it is still reacting as if it's still in the ocean. Again, we have bathwater-like temperatures in this part of the Gulf of Mexico here in Louisiana. Dangerous Cat 4 indeed. In fact, Weather Channel was trying to label it a Cat 4.75. They really wanted that Category 5 hurricane. Can't stress that more, Caleb. Folks should stay indoors indeed. Let's go back to some more weather cam footage. Actually, let's do a quick update on the power outage situation. Last time we saw it at 372,000. That was about 15 minutes ago. Let's refresh, and now it has jumped up another 50,000 power outages here in the state of Louisiana. And folks, if we're already this many out of power, and the storm is literally just parked right now in this area of red, that is where Ida is. Where my arrow is, there's still lots of energy being fueled into the storm, into the eastern and northeastern side of this storm. So we're going to continue to see the power outages increase near New Orleans and in this area as well. Lake Pontchartrain as well. Don't want to forget them. So the possibility of 20 inches of rain is still in play with the storm, just because right now it's doing what we don't want it to do, and that is slowing down. And this will continue to bombard the area here. Again, it's charging up, it's re-energizing as hurricanes go in cycles. You see them die off and then you see them build back up. It was going through a die down period and now it's starting to charge up. You can see it right there at the tip of my arrow here. At the very end of this last frame, you'll see things spinning around and it starts to charge back up again here in the southwestern region of the storm, heading into the eastern, northeastern part, which will be, New Orleans will be directly affected. As you can already hear in the background, that's the wind gust of downtown New Orleans. Let's go take a look at that real quick. I'm going to head over to Twitter and see if I can find us any updates, any live updates. The footage on Twitter right now is insane. If you guys are new to this channel, please subscribe here at the Grand Solar Minimum. We are a channel that follows natural solar cycles and believes the sun drives the climate. So we give you the facts and not any wishy-washy fantasyland stories. We give you the facts on how weather is impacted by our sun and the cycles that are presented to us. Subscribe, like, share, do all of that. You're going to thank me. Not a lot of updating happening right now on the Twitter side of things. A lot of videos of the same stuff that we've already seen. And what's concerning is that we're not seeing the footage because people are actually staying indoors. This is a dangerous storm. This is not something to mess around with. Again, we have live footage here of Hurricane Ida. You're looking at footage in the top left-hand corner from downtown New Orleans in the French Quarter. And we also have at the bottom right-hand of the screen, we have footage of just off of the coast of Biloxi, Mississippi. The storm has only been on land now for about a couple of hours and is already making its presence felt. Lots of wind damage, lots of power outages, lots of flooding already. Storm surge is already starting to appear. Out of the 1,000 people that we have in watching this program right now, I would like if anyone could just identify themselves. If you are in the storm affected right now, please tell us you're doing okay or how you are doing and what the conditions are around you. Folks that are in the chat that want to claim that this is a fake storm, Interesting. We have the video footage of it right now. Oh boy. Starting to get hot now in the chat. Good point. Where are the boards? What were they thinking, right? Where are the boards? We got all this dangerous wind and debris flying around. That was a very good point there, guys. Didn't catch that before. So once again, we are covering live Hurricane Ida. They made landfall almost 2.5, 3 hours ago. Still a strong Category 4. Winds at 140 miles per hour. Maximum gust at 174. Central pressure is sitting at 934. It is moving northwest at 11 miles per hour. Check out the live radar on Hurricane Ida as she approaches west of New Orleans, still trying to move further inland. Boy, this is, to me, folks, and I'm no expert. I simply report on the news, and but it really feels like this storm is really starting to slow down. So on our next update, it'll be very, very interesting to see if we see this storm continue to slow down. I did say I wouldn't be surprised to see it below 10 miles per hour. Blind by Beauty says, nothing about this is fake. I'm in New Orleans. I hope you are safe. Have you had power issues? Have you had any flickering power or anything like that since it started? It'd be interesting to hear from someone who is actually in the storm right now. Yeah, I wouldn't pay any attention to it, actually. And he claims that this is fake. Very real stuff, and we've got to watch what's going to happen here in the near future. This is only just getting started, folks. We got many, 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 many hours to go. Many hours to go. All right, you are watching live coverage once again of Hurricane Ida. We're still looking for more reports of any damage or rain totals so far. And just right now, we're looking at a really strong Category 4 that is still impacting southern Louisiana with ease at this time, I might add. Very interesting. Some chat talk going on here about the storm being fake and people getting banned on Reddit for saying that it's a Cat 4, as if someone's in complete denial right now. I don't know. That's crazy. Some more wind gusts starting to pick up through downtown New Orleans. All right, folks, so right now we're going to go ahead and jump off the air. We will be back as this storm progresses. Right now I want to gather some more information and bring another presentation to you guys, and hopefully we can show you some updated information about the storm, because right now this is real time. Power is out. It's probably hard getting pictures back in. And right now, the only thing that I can find that are pictures that are worth showing is here in the bottom right corner of Biloxi, Mississippi, in the top left-hand corner, which is downtown New Orleans. So before we head off the air, right now, as it still stands, we are looking at a hurricane category 4 with sustained winds at 140 miles per hour, maximum gust of 174 with a millibars of 934 as far as central pressure is concerned, and also moving 11 miles an hour to the northwest. All right, that's going to do it for us right now on this live update on Hurricane Ida. We will be back to provide you with more information and more breaking news on this strong Category 4 landfall. We'll see you in a bit, guys.